Arena. Second, let me look nice and fishy. I mean, sexy. Arena mentality.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Alright, so arena mentality. You might be thinking, what is arena mentality? Well, essentially, arena mentality has to do with your CC, your positioning, and your talents, and how you use them and why you choose them versus certain builds and comps and specializations. I'm going to jump right into it and start with normal talents. Okay, so I'm going to leave out the talents that are standard. You'll almost always be using them, and go with the talents that are more switch based on what you're fighting. I'm going to start at the third tier. I'll just let everybody know, First Blood's damage is reduced by 85% in PvP, so stop using it. Anyways, Netherwalk. You'll be using this against casters with low instant CC, and typically no stuns. So you'll be using this against Shadow Priest, you'll be using this against Ellie Shams, you'll be using this against Destro Locks, or if they're a Shadow Priest Destro team, which is a common comp, or an Ellie Destro team, which is a common comp, always Netherwalk. Why? They have low amounts of instant stuns, and you can instantly Netherwalk any single individual or multiple casts. So if they're like, oh no, look, he popped Dark Soul and he's Chaos Bolting me, Netherwalk it. Wow, nothing happens. You can run behind the pillar, get full healed, or you can premeditate. I like to premeditively. Fuck, I can't talk this morning. Fucking dyslexic. Use Netherwalk. So if like my healer gets caught in a CC or a fear, I'll just Netherwalk. You can also Netherwalk, run over to them, and then reverse magic or something like that. So use this against casters with low CC, as those that I mentioned. I put them up on the screen for you. Or against certain comps. Desperate Instincts. You will use this every single time versus a comp. Typically, always versus a comp with Rogue or Feral or Warrior. Mainly because Desperate Instincts will save you if you get stunned low or if you get stunned multiple times. Okay, so you'll be using this against RMPs, Thug, Jungle, like Rogue War or Mage War, like WMP, like Warrior Mage. Anything with consistent stuns, like with maybe a Paladin. It doesn't matter what spec. Use Desperate Instincts, it will save your ass. It's best versus melee, whereas Netherwalk is best versus casters, as a general rule. So running for 1v1s. Now, this is a difficult tier. So momentum is always better if you are good with it, right? Because momentum, Ventral Retreat, that's 12 seconds of 20% increased damage, or you can be like throw Glaive with a Fel Rush up, with Fury of the Illidari on the target, with Chaos Blades, and you jump away, like I-Beam, so that's technically 100% uptime, even though you're kiting, which is bob and weaving. Fel Eruption is great as double Demon Hunter. Get one of the Demon Hunters to run Fel Eruption, because it can just chunk someone and kill them out of nowhere. They won't see the random, like half a global interrupt coming. You can use it as a kick, essentially, and just kill a healer. That's the only time I'd ever say use it. That and 1v1s. It's really good in 1v1s as well. But other than that, try not to use Fel Eruption. Nemesis, I recommend if you don't really know what you're doing with momentum. But keep in mind, a Demon Hunter with momentum will be doing better than you if you're using Nemesis. Nemesis is nerfed to 15% damage increase in PvP, and its duration is reduced by 50%. So it lasts for 30 seconds. So essentially, with 2 Fel Rushes and a Retreat, you get 16 seconds of momentum. With Nemesis, you get 30 seconds, but with 15%. So it's a full 5% less overall, straight up. Plus, you're not getting as much uptime. So every 30 seconds, you get 16 seconds. So you almost have 4 times the uptime with a 20% damage increase over a 2-minute fight, for instance, over Nemesis, where you'd only have a 30-second uptime. The difference is very clear, right? Of course, momentum takes a lot of practice to get used to and good with. I say it's the only difficult part of the class. There's absolutely nothing else with Demon Hunter that's really a high skill cap, other than momentum. Next tier, Master of the Glaive, free slow, okay? It's extremely useful. Oh, also Desperate Instincts is really good against Demo Locks, as a random note, because they can stun you, they can CC their healer, and then you get put in that little gay circle thingy that just continually bumps you and you can't move. Master of the Glaive. Super good cleave, super good range damage. It's a slow as well. You have no other slow as a Demon Hunter. The only time I wouldn't be using this is if you're playing with a class that has a passive auto proc slow. An example would be a rogue, for whatever reason, if that becomes meta, or a feral druid, right? So they both have slows that just proc off their normal abilities, so it's not as useful. That's the only time where I would consider taking Unleashed Power. So if you're playing like feral DH, use don't use Master of Glaive, use Unleashed Power, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter as much. There is one situation where I would recommend playing Unleashed Power over all others, and that is if you're playing DH DK, alright, or if you're playing against the Demo Lock. And the reason for that is because you can get so much value out of a free Unleashed Power Chaos Nova with a reduced cooldown that you almost always instantly have it back up. They pop their imps and their pets, you stun everything. It stops their damage. Every single hit has a 50% chance of summoning a shard that'll heal you for 20%, and give you Fury, and reset the cooldown on Eye-Beam, and Chaos Nova itself. Alright, so you're going to be self-healing, doing crazy CC, counter pressure, or stopping their overall single target damage. You get so much done with it, and because it's a reduced cooldown, you can just spam it over and over and over. You'll get so much value from their stupid demons, because you're going to be hitting like 10 plus targets with it. I definitely recommend using Unleashed Power versus a Demo Lock. It throws them off. It's extremely effective. Try it out. You'll probably nut. Anyways, next tier, Chaos Blades. Extremely good. It's high burst. Combine it with momentum. That's 50% damage increase in PvP during your burst. A great opener with this combo, right? So you'll be using this. Oh no. So the combo would be, you know, like Blades of the Ildari, Chaos Blades, Retreat Out, Glaive Toss, right? Fell Rush back in, Fell Blade, Eye-Beam, right? So the entire time you have 50% damage on every single ability you're using. You'll be doing crazy AoE and single target pressure. Something will have to pop a cooldown or they'll probably die. Extremely good against casters. You want to be using this against casters most of the time. It's kind of funny, right? You think, oh, but Fell Barrage is ranged, so I want to use it against casters. It's kind of reverse psychology here. So Chaos Blades, because a caster can't escape you as easily, you want to be using it on them because you're going to have the full 18 seconds of uptime, right? It hits through armor, obviously, but you'll just be annihilating a caster. They can't just tank Chaos Blades like you're hitting a Lock or a Shadow Priest. Now, of course, the Chaos Blades works against other comps as well, but generally you'll be wanting to use this Chaos Blades against casters or anything with a range, and a Fell Barrage with anything that's double melee, or if you're training the healer and they have a melee on you, right? So you can cleave, because Fell Barrage is going to be used against cleaves because they'll be hitting you most of the time. You'll be kiting, cleaving, you like using momentum. Fell Barrage is a combo. Fell Rush, you know, then you barrage, then you Fell Rush back in, then you Blade Dance. You know, Bob and Weave is a good playstyle to pick up when you're playing a Demon Hunter. General tip: Fell Barrage, melees. All right, if they're playing double melee, don't use it against a caster melee. Don't use it against double caster. It's very bad against double caster. And Chaos Blades versus double caster or a melee ranged comp. Next, talent tree. Start at the top. Always Gladiator's Medallion. There's no question. Adaption. Only use it if you're fighting like a paladin in 1v1 or something, because they're Hodge. You know, you just get more value out of it. Hardiness, extremely powerful. It's very simple and straightforward. If you have 1 million HP and you're getting hit for, you know, like a million, right? Then it takes 20% off. So you're getting hit for 800k because that's 200k. You know, like 0.20 times 1 mil is 200k. So now you live, right? So you get hit for 800k, you live with 200k HP. Reinforced armor, right? You're getting hit for that 1 mil, you live with 100k HP, right? So it's very straightforward. Obviously, you get more value out of hardiness, especially if your healer is using that one talent that increases their healing on targets above 80% by 20%. So it's a great combo. It makes you extremely hard to kill. Sparring. Use this against double melee comps, and not all melee comps. For instance, Enhancement Shamans And subtly rogues and assassination rogues almost all do all their damage through magical, so shadow, nature, and elemental, like fire and frost and whatever shamans do. So versus those comps is not as useful, but use this against a double melee, like if you're fighting a warrior or a ret or a feral or a survival hunter, extremely effective. Even use this over the other two if it's for instance, a warrior mage, because you're going to be negating the warrior's damage, or if you're fighting like a ret hunter, you're going to be negating the ret's damage. You're not going to get as much value out of the other two options. So use sparring versus any one physical damage in a caster comp or any double melee comp, but don't use it against double caster, of course. Use hardiness, in my opinion, over reinforced armor, but reinforced armor, I'll get into it with some combos. So reinforced armor. So reinforced armor, you want to be using this against, say, a sub-rogue. The reason why, because against a sub-rogue, you're going to be using Desperate Instincts, as I said earlier. This makes this proc earlier, because you have more HP. So you're going to have more HP when Desperate Instincts finally procs. I don't know about you, but I have died to good rogues, good rogue mages, and comps as such in a stun lock, even with Desperate Instincts proccing. However, this extra 10% makes it so you can take 1 to 2 more big hits, and that's enough to make the difference and live. I've lived so many more times because of it. Reinforced armor also, of course, Desperate Instincts combos with it and Glimpse. We're going to get into the next tier now. Solitude. General rule, use Solitude if you're playing with a caster, because you get lots of value out of it. Use Cover of Darkness if you're playing with another melee, because you're not going to get any value out of Solitude, because since they're within 15 yards of you the entire game, cleaving and single targeting. So Cover if you're playing with another with a melee, and Solitude if you're playing with a caster. Very straightforward. Glimpse is the only time I ever use Glimpse is if the enemy team is so anal about butt fucking me the entire match. That is when I'll switch to Glimpse, because Glimpse will make the difference in my individual's survivability more so than anything else. Can't tell you the amount of times where I've pre-vengeful retreat glimpsed a rogue stun or some sort of CC, and it just made me live. Next tier, Unending Hatred. You're going to be using this against comps with low CC, kind of in the same situation as Netherwalk and Desperate Instincts. Use Unending Hatred versus comps with casters with low CC and high damage, so like a Chaos, or why do I always say Chaos Warlock? I'm retarded. Unending Hatred, okay, you use this against any caster that has low CC, so a Shadow Priest, Destro Lock, a Elisham, alright, or a Boomkit. All those have low overall CC. Also, all those classes have very low amounts of CC you can actually dispel with reverse magic. That's when you use Unending Hatred. On to reverse magic now. You're going to be using this versus casters and ranged, or just classes in general that have magical abilities that you can reverse, like a Rep Pally Hodge or a Hunter Trap or a Mage Polymorph. You're going to be using this against them because they have high amounts of CC, so they're going to be using it on your healer most of the time, like a Hodge Trap, a Poly, like a Kidney Poly on your healer, something like that. I would advise not using this against a class like a Demo Lock, because a Demo Lock will always, they have a lot of instant CC for you and healer, so they'll coil you or they'll stun you with their Felguard, and then you won't be able to use reverse magic anyways because you'll just be stun locked while your healer's on a fear. So you'll get more value out of Unending Hatred in that scenario. I have Leothoris, good for 1v1s, typically nothing else. I will go into I could even make a 1v1 guide for you guys if you want. Demon Hunters are actually surprisingly good at 1v1s in Arena. People have like a misconception about them, but I can teach you guys a few tricks if you'd really like to. Demonic Origins, 10% flat damage. Meta cooldown reduction, always going to take this. Mana Rift is garbage. I've done testing with it after its nerf. Awaken the Demon, great for 1v1s and 2v2s depending on the situation. Rain from Above, use this against, this is just like, you see a lot of like repetitive build like in my analysis, like this is versus casters, this is versus melee for the a general simplistic view of it. Rain from Above, use this against any comp with 2 melee, use this against casters, use this mainly in 2s, nothing else. Typically you'll be switching between Attainment and Rain from Above. Every comp in the game has either 2 casters 2 melee or 1 in 1. So it's very straightforward. There's a 1 in 3 chance you'll be using right from above. 1 in 3 chance you'll be using Detainment. It's a caster every meta though, so you'll probably be using Detainment. The reason why Detainment is good is because you'll be able to use this. Let's say you're fighting any comp with a mage. You're hitting the mage. You communicate with your friend. Hey, dude, that mage just popped Temp Shield. We don't have a Dispel on the team because we're playing with a Druid, so just keep smacking him, keep smacking him. At the last second that Temp Shield's about to proc, you just press Detainment. It completely nullifies the cooldown. He gets 0 healing from it, but it still goes off. So it's like he never had it in the first place. That kind of momentum will switch the game up, and your team will get ahead really quickly. So that's my talent portion of the PvP arena mentality, and that you guys should be using, and kind of like your thought process on what you're picking for arena. I just see so many demon hunters, like using Felbras versus anything, and like no matter what you say, even in the nicest way possible, even if it's just a suggestion, they won't switch because it's not enough damage or something like that. I even use Demonic sometimes versus Rogue Mage, just for extra healing. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this quick little arena mentality guide. I'm gonna make this into a series. Next time I will go over positioning, or like when to use certain abilities, stuff like that. Or I can make a 1v1 dueling guide for you guys, really show you how to pump it out. So yeah, have a good one, dudes.